Greetings to you. This is part 2 of the teaching I've titled Help, He Cried Out to Heaven. And we pick it up from chapter 6, verses 1 to 8. And now we are talking about what God's view is on what actually happened, what transpired. And it says, the number of people on earth began to grow, and daughters were born to them. When the sons of God, here we're talking about the angels, saw that these girls, sons of men, daughters of men, were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. I think they had great supernatural power to lure people to them and draw women to them. And I'm not trying to say that the women were innocent, but I think they had pulling power. They were able to attract them to them because obviously they would manifest as human beings, and they would be very handsome men and strong, and so the woman would be attracted to them, and so they married them. They married any of them they chose. So the choice was with the men rather than the women. Usually women are the ones who choose, but here is the men who are choosing. I'll have this one, I'll have that one, and that was that. And the Lord said, my spirit will not remain in human beings forever. They will live only 120 years. There's a calculation, I think here we're talking about 120 Sabbaths or Jubilees. But anyway, he's talking about that he's going to bring everything to a complete end at some point, which is these end times. So the Nephilim were on earth in those days and also later. Now, I mentioned earlier that the Nephilim here basically means fallen ones. So it can refer to the actual parents, angels, the men who married the daughters of men, as the fallen ones, the Nephilim. Or some, I think, tend to look at and the offspring would be the giants, but others also may refer to that first generation, the direct offspring of angel and man, woman, as the Nephilim, and whatever they procure, they beget between them and the fellow Nephilim, referring to the product of an angel and daughters of men, would then be the giants. But either way, what we have here is we have a new grouping of people who are made from two kinds of people who are not supposed to have had any sexual interaction at all. It's kind with kind. They are not of humankind. So whichever way you want to take it, I think the picture, the essence of it is clear, that the Nephilim are the product, or the giants are a product of angel and the daughters of men. And we also know from that the sons, that the angels themselves were imprisoned, so they were no longer able to perpetuate or to continue searing children here on earth. He put a stop to that. So what we have here now are just hybrids. So they perpetuate themselves by making sure that they continue intermarrying in a strong line, and so that they don't dilute themselves. And to that extent, now we can say that a lot of people who present themselves as human beings are not actually human beings. There are these people who are able to shape shift, who can disguise, whom we have not been given the spiritual power to discern visually. When you look at them, you just see a human being, but they are not. Under them, they just wear a human skin, as if wearing a suit. They can take it on and off. And I think when there are some of these other ones who are closer to pure, because of the interbreeding, because that's one thing that we mentioned earlier, that they've always been encouraged to interbreed. But that did not actually get rid of the rivalry between them, but they would try to keep the genetic pool, that line, very strong through interbreeding, making sure that you breed like with like. And that is why that particular ruling class, you will find that they are not deceived and they are not encouraged, or shall we say persuaded by these new age philosophies and thinkings that oh, I marry out of love. No, they do things out of duty. This notion of marrying because you are lustful and so forth is people who are smitten by what they teach you in Hollywood. These people, they are duty bound. They do things out of duty. We have a duty to keep our line pure because we have a right to rule, and we don't want to lose our right to rule by diluting ourselves. So we must strengthen ourselves, and we strengthen ourselves. And one way we do that is making sure that we marry right. Anyway, having said that, so that was when the sons of God had sexual relations with daughters of human beings. These women gave birth to children who became famous, the Nimrods of this world, and were mighty warriors. The Lord saw that the human beings on earth were very wicked, and that everything they thought about was evil. He was sorry he had made human beings on the earth for having participated in this, fallen prey to this little scheme and not resisting it. I'm not saying that they didn't. I think there are many cultures where they try, when they see these anomalies in their children, they sometimes kill them because they know that this is not one of us, and so forth. But generally speaking, he's apportioning blame, just like, yeah, everyone has got his own share of blame. So he was very upset with human beings for allowing themselves to fall prey, because they could have cried out to him, and you'd find ways. You would solve the problem, but they didn't. They just went headlong into these things. And anyway, he was sorry, that he had made human beings on the earth, and his heart was filled with pain. So the Lord said, I will destroy all human beings that I have made, because they were all corrupt by then on earth. And I will destroy every animal and everything that crawls, because I am sorry I have made them. But Noah pleased the Lord at that time, because his line was pure. He had not been infiltrated by the angel, the angel bloodline. So this was Noah's case. So now we know that Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And we know that Ham's son, Canaan, was the one who was cursed. And we also know from part 1 that Noah so loved Japheth that he wanted him to inherit the whole world, to the exclusion almost, at the expense of everybody else, even though he knew that God's choice was Shem's line. And he wanted to circumvent that by praying to another God for this to come about. And it has come about. And in exchange for these things, we can see that this particular group of Japheth's line have credited themselves with being greatly blessed, being entrepreneurs, being explorers, developing economically strong, politically strong, militarily strong, intellectually very powerful, and second to none. So that's what they would have the world believe. And they've got all skills that are more concentrated in them than anyone else. If anything, they're invincible. But one thing we also know, we know that they are always warring, and there's rivalry between them. They're always fighting among themselves. But having said that, this is what we have now. We have now this bloodline, this foreign bloodline, this Satan's bloodline, which has been blessed, according to them, with domination, world domination, which is what they wanted, and to control and to take over the land of Shem, and to control everything. And that's what they did in 48. So that's That's the deal that was made, that was brokered for them by their ancestor, Noah, at least as far as the Japheth line is concerned. So we continue here. So we have the three lines: Shem, Japheth, and Ham. Japheth being the preeminent one, but fighting his brothers and cousins, because the same blessing attached to them. Was not only one particularly family group, but it was like the whole group. So they have that strength, and so they're always fighting for preeminence. And that's the cause of most conflicts here on earth is this man and his desire to control and dominate everybody else. Yeah, that's Japheth's the short story, the summary of Japheth's family line. Japheth's descendants. They want to dominate and control everybody, and by bullying, they claim that they have everything. They're invincible and they've been to the moon. Yes, if you believe that. And they go about bombing everybody, killing everybody, dominating and controlling and intimidating. And they basically do what they want on the earth. It's like the earth is their playground. But this family now, the Nephilim, the giants, are controlling these kingdoms. They're controlling these kingdoms, and they are distinguishable. They've got certain distinguishing features. They've got certain practices that we know, and they also they pretty much present themselves as a family, outwardly, that is. But that is not to say that all the people who may look that way are necessarily Nephilim or have that line. I think there are other factors that may have resulted, caused everybody to kind of take the appearance of that bloodline. Because if you read some of these studies, they're saying that the first generation Nephilim or giants presented themselves either as white, with blonde hair, red hair, blue eyes, and things like that. And even Enoch talks about having the color of the gods, and so forth. But that is not the main thing here. I'm basically wanting to point out that this is what happened, and that is a source of the problems here on earth, which is war. And you can see this, the emphasis, as we saw in Cain, this military thrust and desire to dominate, whether economic or politically or diplomatically, they want to dominate the whole world. So we continue here and says that people on earth did what God said was evil. They were corrupt. There was violence everywhere. And when God saw this, that there was violence and corruption and evil everywhere, he was not very happy. So he decided to bring an end to it all living creatures, because people have made the earth full of violence, yet corrupted his creation. And this was multifaceted. He was genetically engineering humans and animals, plants, trees, everything, mixed humans with fish, with bulls, with wolves, whatever, horses. He did everything. But I think the whole thing has been refined over the years and generations, that all these creatures, they don't look as they did at first. But one thing they have done is, I think their sizes have gradually over time reduced. They become smaller and become more human-like. So now you have 6-footers and 7-footers who were not common in those days, but for genetics and the way we eat, maybe. but also because of this, the gene, the bloodline, the serpentine bloodline, reptilian bloodline in these people, the giants. They have that blood, but they present like human beings, but they can manifest. And I think when they're doing the ritual, sometimes they take their clothes off and they appear in their normal form, whether they are looking like crocodiles or serpents or whatever they are looking like. They would, and then, but it's something they have this ability to cloak the human skin structure, which is structure to the eye, but it's not really, it's an illusion because we just don't see into that dimension of what they are doing. We just see what we see, but other people who have been gifted with the blessing to see these things can see that, oh my goodness, here we have a serpent, we have a crocodile here, and so forth. But anyway, so this is the story. So he told him to make an ark so that we can get rid of all human beings. That was his thrust. He says he wants to get rid of all human beings because they're all corrupt. But he didn't say anything about these hybrids, these giants, Nephilim. But what he did do is he imprisoned their fathers. And then from this, we also developed a whole theology now, which has goddesses in heaven. There are no goddesses, but he created goddesses because sometimes the fathers would beget daughters and they would get married to this and that, being Nephilim and giants and so forth. But over time, because he removed the parents from the equation, so the children, the offspring, could only rely on perpetuating themselves through themselves and making sure they concentrated everything. They selected who they married and made sure that they did not dilute their bloodlines and strengthen them, their own individual bloodlines. And they also strengthened their own particular bloodlines by building armaments independent of others and fighting each other for domination of the world stage. So that's the nature of this particular family group. In Haggai 2:22, it says, I will destroy the foreign kingdoms and take away the power of the kingdoms of the nations. So you destroy the foreign kingdoms. Those are the ones, the celestial ones, the fathers of these Nephilims. And you also take away the power of the kingdoms on earth, as represented by the giants, the Nephilims here on earth, in that ruling class. I will destroy the chariots and their riders. Is going to do that, and the horses will fall with their riders, and as people kill each other with swords. So this is the infighting that we are talking about. There will be a lot of infighting. But having done this now, they have gained control of the political apparatus of the world. They're dominating the ruling class in all these kingdoms. They know each other. They all believe that they have a divine right to rule. And they are taking control of every aspect of life here on earth, even the church, to the extent that they even infiltrated the church, God's church, the first century Canaan church, by politicizing it and bringing it under Rome, giving it a headquarters and infiltrating it with even their own kind. Their own bloodline was served as popes, pushing their own agenda. And we can see this, and the one trend aspect of it, which is very clear, is this idea of pushing the idea of a goddess, saying that Mary is the mother of Christ in a spiritual sense, and that she can intercede for us. Now, but they just leave it at this, that they've dominated, infiltrated the church, and they control the church and this agenda, and they are leading it. And whatever they do, they are trying to outsmart everybody. They have not changed. The whole idea is to corrupt the church. They have false doctrines, false teachers, and this teaching has been, everybody has caught, has caught, is capitalizing on it and taking it over, so that now we no longer, you don't have to be an apostle because you're being called. You can just go to university, which is one of the institutions, and you teach you this and that, and then you go around spreading your false gospels and so forth. And the whole idea is to make sure that the children of God, God's sheep, don't receive the good message. They don't get a good feed, and they are always led astray. They believe in things like prosperity to the exclusion of everything else. God is a judge. God is righteous. God is to be worshipped, not him worshipping you. God is who he is. You don't decide, you don't make up your own God like a menu in a supermarket, in a restaurant, and I'll have a bit of that and a bit of that. And if you are not that, then you are not a God. Or you're not the kind of God that I'm expecting. But anyway, now this brings us to the Church of Laodicea, which is basically the arm. These are the priests that they're also controlling. This is the Vatican, which is an extension of this ruling elite. And it reads, the Amen, this is Laodicea, which is Revelation 3:14-20 says, the Amen, the faithful and the true witness, the ruler of all God has made, says this. I know what you do, that you are not hot or cold. I wish that you were hot or cold. Because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I am ready to spit you out of my mouth. For you say I am rich, and I have become wealthy and do not need anything, but you do not know that you are really miserable, wretched, pitiful, poor, blind, and naked. I advise you to buy from me gold made pure in fire, so that you can be truly rich. Buy from me the white clothes, so that you may be clothed, so you can cover your sinful nakedness. Buy from me medicine, salve, ointment to put on your eyes, so that you can truly see. So it's God is calling people to come back to him, to the true gospel, and that is through his word, and not to start imagining or making up things about him. If you read about me, all your eyes will open. You become rich if you know me, because then we would fellowship. And I will teach you more and more. But as it is right now, you're lukewarm. You've created your own God, the one that you're comfortable with around your sin, who accommodates your sin to the extent that we are saying that Sodom is acceptable. Any sin is okay, because God is a God of love, and he loves everybody and anything. So Laodicea is the end time church, especially in Babylon the Great. That is the church. They believe what they want to believe. They believe what is comfortable with them. They believe with the theologies that accommodates their sin, their habits, the sins that they don't want to give up. They don't see any need for it, of giving them up. If I'm a sodomite, it's because I'm that naturally. That's how God created me. You don't come to God to be changed, but for God to accept you as you are and leave you as you are. And we know that that's not how God works. But anyway, so this is the end time church, the predominant church in the world. This world that serves man. That's what this church is all about. This particular type of church. And it's the dominant one, and it's the popular one. We don't going to go to town on this, but I think in America is a very good example. And the highlight of it all is all these exposures that have been happening around the church, where you have sodomites being preachers and teaching gospels that are not complete, are misleading and incorrect, and telling people things that are not truths, but things that make them comfortable, and and for them to go home believing every day that better than they were last week, and they can do the old approach, which is I do what I want for 6 days. On the seventh, I will just go to church and I'll listen to this and that sermon, that's the light-hearted sermon, lukewarm, which says absolutely nothing, and I'll leave it feeling happy because no one has pointed a finger. There's no such thing as sin, and so forth. So this is the end-time church, and this is the adjunct to this political hegemony that has been achieved by the ruling elite who claim to have a divine right to rule here on earth. And this is what he says now in Revelation 2:21. This is now God talking. I've given her time to change. He's talking about Babylon, but he's talking about everybody. Given her time to change and to turn away from her sin, sexual immorality. But she does not want to change. This is a general statement, appeal. I will throw her on a bed of suffering, and all those who take part in adultery with her will suffer greatly if they do not turn away from the wrongs she does. I will also kill her followers. Then all the churches will know I am the one who searches hearts and minds, and I will repay each of you for what they have done. In Revelation 3, verses 2-4 reads, wake up, strengthen what you have left before it dies. So there are some people who have something that can still be saved. It's the situation you can salvage, something can be salvaged from this situation that we're in, the condition that we're in, if we turn to him. So wake up and strengthen the bit that you have, and then take it from there and develop and go on to greater, to more, and be purified more, and learn more, and be strengthened in God and in your theology and in your relationship with God. I found that what you are doing is less than what my God wants. This is Jesus talking. So do not forget what you have received and heard. Obey it and change your hearts and lives. So there are certain people who have received it and they know they've just become lax. So he said, come and wake up, get yourself together. So you must wake up, or I will come like a thief, and you will not know when I come. I will come to you, and you will not know when I come to you. But you have a few people who have kept their clothes unstained. He's talking Sardis here. And they kept their clothes unstained, so they will walk with me and will wear white clothes because they are worthy. So there are some churches that are not completely corrupted. There is something there that we can work on, and we can salvage that situation and turn it into good. But you must wake up and come back to me. Salvage, strengthen what is there, the little that is left, strengthen it and take it from there and grow from there. Obey his commands and walk with me. And then I'll put on, and you will wear white clothes because you are worthy. It's just for turning around. So this is the message is saying, everybody come back to me, but you know the way back to me. You need to obey me, the statutes, my commands, everything that I've taught you, you must obey it. And then you can be saved. Because now, remember, the world is unrighteous. It's under the control of Satan. He is controlling more than he should. In Daniel 12:10, it reads, now this is a judgment that he says in Daniel, in 12:10, he says, many people will be made clean, pure, and spotless, but the wicked will continue to be wicked. Those wicked people will not understand these things, but the wise, insightful ones will understand them. The Amplified Translation says, Many will be purged. I think this is it. Because God, when you lend yourself to Him, if you bring yourself to Him, He will do the work in you. But you must be willing to present yourself and say, I want. Yes, you may be shivering and you may not be sure, because it's going to be a cold bath, and you'll be saying there, oh, I'm naked and I'm going to scrambling with this, and you can see what it is and He's going to do. And getting into a cold bath is not, it's not something that everybody relishes. But once it gets scrubbing and you are being cleaned, you get used to it, and you'll be quite happy, and then you'll be singing in the bath as you are cleaned. That's just an analogy. So here he says, many will be purged if you allow, you will lend yourself for that process, and purified and made white and refined, but the wicked will behave wickedly. So it's almost like saying the wicked will remain wicked. They do not want to change. They will not come back to Him. None of the wicked shall understand, but those who are spiritually wise will understand. The wicked don't want to understand. They are quite happy with their life as it is. But those who are wise they will understand. The New Translation, Living Translation reads, many will be purified, cleansed, and refined by these trials. Now, we are focusing on the trials that are built into life and are going to be more concentrated in these end times. But the wicked will continue in their wickedness, and none of them will understand. Only those who are wise will know what it means. The Amplified Classic Translation reads, many shall purify themselves, many shall be purified and make themselves white and be made white, and will be tried by being tried and smelted and refined, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the teachers and those who are wise shall understand. So it's a gift, it's a blessing because it says, but those who are teachers and those who are wise, wisdom comes from God, teachers come from God. To remain a teacher, it's a blessing. So it's not like the church is totally defeated. No. The church is alive and vibrant. It's not as strong as it should be. And this is one thing which is pretty disturbing. It looks like when people are on a certain course, they are heavily vested in their lifestyle, in what they are doing, and their perception and perspective, and they are quite happy with themselves. They will not change for anything unless something dramatic happens. And when you listen to all these prophecies about what's going to happen in America and what is already happening in America, most of the people don't pay any attention. They are not interested. They're still vested in the old way of life, in their invincibility, in their perfectness, and having the best political structure and institutions, being the richest, being the wisest people. And yet, every day they are sliding into, what should I say? They want to slide downwards. And quite happily so. Not knowing that there is something that they can do to get off the slide and climb back up, or to stop the sliding and climb up back to the top, if you're ever at the top in a godly way. In Jude 14:15 it reads, Enoch, the seventh descendant from Adam, said about these people, the Lord is coming with many thousands of his holy angels to judge every person. He is coming to punish all who are against God for all the evil they have done against him. And he will punish the sinners who are against God for all the evil they have said against him. So judgment is coming. This is what this thing is saying. But people seem to be oblivious to it. All these prophecies is like Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel talking all over again with a great intensity. With such force that you would think that people would pay heed, but no. Calamity has to come, and only when they have fallen will they realize. And some of them, even when they've fallen, they will not attribute it to God. They will just say, "Well, we can get out of it. We'll build something, out of this. We'll find a way out." So anyway, judgment is coming, and judgment is coming. And in Daniel 12, 13, 11 to 13, it reads, "From the time the daily sacrifices stopped and the sacrilegious object that was put in the temple is set up to be worshipped, there will be 1,290 days." So this is the tribulation. And then it goes on to say, "And blessed are those who wait and remain until the end of 1,335 days." So the tribulations will last 1,290, but he's saying, blessed are those who wait and remain and still alive and at the end of 1,335 days, which is basically 45 days, which is 1.5 months. He's saying that after everything has been done, everything according to the timetable of God, the tribulation is going to last exactly 1,490 days. After that, you have to hang on and remain alive and wait for the 1,335 days for 45 more days more, 1.5 months. And as for, and then you'll be blessed if you can make it from there, because you are saved. As you are, nothing more is going to touch you. As for you, you go your way until the end. You will rest, and then at the end of the days, you will rise again to receive the inheritance set aside for you. He's talking to Daniel here personally. So now all this is happening because there was resistance to God's plan, which is to install his son as King of Kings. And now this brings us to Psalm 2. And he's now talking, says, "Why are the nations so angry? Why are the people making useless plans? The kings of the earth prepare to fight, and their leaders make plans together against the Lord and his anointed one." That's Jesus. "They say, let's break the chains that hold us back and throw off the ropes that tie us down. But the one who sits in heaven laughs. The Lord makes fun of them. Then the Lord warns them and frightens them with his anger. He says, I've appointed my own king over my holy mountain," that's the whole earth. "Now I will tell you what the Lord has declared. He said to me, you are my son." Now Jesus is now talking. "Today I have become your father. If you ask me, I will give you." This is Jesus talking. This is Jesus. No, this is God talking. "He said to me, you are my son. Today I have become your father. If you ask me, I will give you the nations as your inheritance. All the people on earth will be yours. You will rule over them like with an iron. You will dash them. You will break them into pieces like pottery. So you kings, now be wise." He's talking about the earthly kings. "Be wise and learn this lesson. Obey the Lord with great fear. Be happy, but tremble. Show that you are loyal to his son, or you will be destroyed by his anger, because he can quickly become angry. Be happy, but happy are those who trust him for protection." So now this is what the whole fight is about. Satan and his ilk, they do not approve. They do not want that. This is what the fight is all about. We don't want him to rule over us. Satan is saying, I have a right because look at me, more my gifts and my talents. I am actually like God. You should worship me. I should do this work. And he's gone about setting up an end-time army for himself, to the extent that now people are actually saying that all his I present genetically engineered creatures, and those that he's manufactured, that he outnumbers the human beings to the by uh, 6:4. That's the ratio. That he's actually in the majority because he is preparing for this end time battle. Because he does not want Jesus to rule. He's King of Kings, our Lord, our God. He doesn't want that. And him and his angels, his 1/3 angels who came down. He came down with his fallen angels. This whole agenda and all his plans are basically to rule this world. And the demons. And yet the funny thing is that even the demons know that their end is in sight. But as far as he's concerned, he's going to be victorious. He's going to win. But anyway, the end result is that this is what the fight has been all about. Who's the King of Kings and resisting him through all this web of deception, misinformation, lies, murder, and everything that he can do, everything that he has done just to try and gain an upper hand. But it will avail to nothing because the end now is here. And the end for the people who oppose him is depicted in Isaiah 66:24. This is for the Amplified Classic Translation, and it reads, "And they shall go forth and gaze upon the dead bodies of the rebellious men who have stepped over against me. For their worm will not die, their fire shall not be quenched, and they shall be an abhorrence to all mankind." So these rebellious people are all going to burn in the lake of fire. That is the end. That is the end. For all that they have done over the century, it is availed to nothing. God is going to get the numbers that he wanted. The ones that were savable, the ones that could be saved, he's going to get every one of them. The expanded version reads, "They shall go out and see the dead bodies." Now, this is in the end time when they're going to Jerusalem to pray. They will stop by the graveyard, which is the lake of fire, and they will see all these people. They will know this one is this one, and this is so and so. And of course, he's going to wipe away their tears, and they're not going to experience psychological or trauma for it. Anyway, it reads, "They shall go out and see the dead bodies of the people who sinned, rebelled against me." Because this, basically what Satan has done, is a rebellion against God. It's a rebellion against God. And we know that how the world judges rebellion is biblical. Rebels are always killed, except in God's estimation and for his purposes. The rebels, yes, they're going to be confined, but they will be alive. And they will be in that lake of fire burning all their lives. And the worms that eat them will never die, and the fires that burn them will never stop. And everyone will hate to see those bodies. They will hate evil. They will be a horror abhorrence to all flesh. So now there's only one camp, one bloodline, God's holy and righteous people. He is going to this is the way he's going to deal with all unrighteousness on the earth. He's going to clean the earth of all unrighteousness. Or in his speech, he doesn't, I may be wrong, he doesn't actually allude to all these hybrids, because he's not interested in things that he's not created. He's not interested in the things that they've created in their factories that look human and maybe human. He's not interested in AIs and all that. These are all dead things. As far as they will be burned. That is why the end times they are going to burn the things that are coming upon the earth is by fire. Fire is going to burn all these things, but through fire nothing is going to survive. All unrighteousness, the earth is going to be cleansed of all unrighteousness. And on this point, on this note, we come to our introspection and meditation. Then I heard the same voice from heaven. This is from Revelation chapter 10, verses 8 to 11. Then I heard the same voice from heaven again saying to me, go take and open the scroll that is in the hand of the angel that is standing on the sea and on the land. So I went to the angel and told him to give me the small scroll, and he said to me, take the scroll and eat it. A symbol of internalizing the word, it will be sour, bitter in your stomach because it is a message of judgment, but in your mouth it will be sweet as honey because it is God's word and because it brings salvation and vindication to his people. So I took the small scroll from the angel's hand and ate it. In my mouth it tasted sweet as honey. After I ate it, it was sour, bitter in my stomach. Then I was told, you must prophesy again about many peoples, nations, languages, and kings. And you must share the word you've just received. The contemporary English translation of that last verse reads, then some voices came, said, keep on telling what will happen to the people of many nations, races, and languages, and also to the kings and priests. The end is clear. The earth is in the process, and the process has begun to cleanse it of all unrighteousness. And our benediction comes out of Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 to 27, again from the expanded translation, and it reads, and the Lord said to Moses, tell Aaron and his sons, this is how you should bless the Yasha'elites. Say to them, may the Lord bless you and keep you and guard you. May the Lord show you his kindness, make his face shine upon you and have mercy on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord watch over you, lift his presence, countenance upon you and give you peace. So Aaron and his sons will bless the Israelites with my name. You put my name upon the children of Yasha'el, and I shall bless them. Thank you, and may God bless you all.